a child born in France has to learn French. The same way, every child born in India must know Sanskrit, must learn Sanskrit. We cannot, just become the past just because our past was glorious. Why ancient India could create such a great foundation for our civilization is that they were very much in alignment with the swa of this land.
And what is swa?
Swabhava, swadharma, swa. Parents are the first teachers.
Love that.
The education has to start from home.
I agree.
Start from home.
Right.
And then the teachers are the extended parents.
Exactly.
Avadhanam is not multitasking. It's a discipline. It's a discipline which brings much awareness to the people who follow it. When you rise above in your consciousness, rise above to a refined state of consciousness, a refined state of consciousness demands a different language. Veda says, Yat sanu maruhat. Attaining to peaks after peaks, our journey continues. Because we always believed in infinite, unending journey. We believed in Leela. No other language in the whole world has preserved so many root sounds as Sanskritam has preserved.
Namaste and welcome. Today it's such a pleasure for me to introduce Dr. Sampadananda Mishra to the Boston area. Dr. Mishra serves as the director at the Rishihood University at the Center for Human Sciences. He, of course, is a leading light from India in several fields. He has had a transformational impact on Indian knowledge systems, on Sanskrit, and on philosophy. And for all his research and work in these areas, he has been awarded the President of India Award for really bringing our ancient knowledge systems and language and making it accessible to the world at large. Dr. Mishra, it's such an honor to have you here. Namaste.
Namaskar. So I'm too delighted also to be here and to be welcomed by you all. Such a grand welcome. And it seems you all are so excited about what's going to happen in the next workshops, whether it's workshop on the Veda or the workshop on the Avadhana Kala that we are going to have. So I always, I'm passionate about what I'm doing. And I always like that the knowledge system that we have, the whole tradition of the knowledge sharing that we have, it must reach out to people. So I started my journey with Sanskrit right from my childhood. And I have just fallen in love with the language, every aspect of this language.
That is so spectacular to hear that. And, to see that you did a PhD in Sanskrit. I mean, it is interesting that your parents didn't ask you to do engineering or medicine. So it is obviously your passion that took you there. And I think you are testament to the fact that if you're passionate about something, you will obviously make a tremendous difference in that area. So coming first to Sanskrit, I am so impressed that you're passionate about it, and you are also bringing this particular beautiful language to the young children, and I think you have had a lot of focus on that. And as the Hindu Parents Network that is going to be featuring your event tomorrow, we are so pleased to see that. So I would like to know from you, what motivated you to think about bringing Sanskrit to the young children?
Okay. So the story is like this. Right from my childhood, I have been learning Sanskritam and studying it throughout my academic career. So after that, I had no intention of doing any job anywhere, but to spread the message of our rishis and take this language to as many young minds as I can. But when I started teaching Sanskritam to the young minds, So from my interaction with them, I found that they're not really interested in Sanskritam. So even I started introducing Sanskritam in some of the teachers training camps. But teachers, principals in Bharat, they were not interested. They said that why this Sanskritam is given to us? What's the use of it? So I had to, reflect upon these questions, and I stopped teaching Sanskritam literally. What I did then. So I thought that let me do a little bit of research and then find out those aspects of Sanskritam which when I share with the young minds or anyone, they will start appreciating the language. This appreciation was missing in the young minds, in the people. So from 1995 to 2001, I did this research, and in 2002 we brought out a book called The Wonder That Is Sanskrit. So that book has inspired a lot of people. So I could find out those materials when I share, the young mind says, wow, this is what is the importance and significance and the practical value of learning Sanskritam. Wow, we must learn it. So that's how it happened. Then I'll tell you one more thing, like how I focused on children.
Yeah, but I want to ask you, what is that one wow? Can you give us the top one wow?
Yes, the one example. Like one of the examples which I share, and now of course like many people are after listening to it again and again, those examples which I have shared, many people are sharing, and it has become known fact. Still it's unknown to many people.
Yes.
So I found a verse, a poetry book of Surya Kavi, which is titled as Rama Krishna Viloma Kavyam. So Viloma Kavyam, like we have palindrome in English, like you read something from left to right or right to left, it is same, like able was I ere I saw Elba. Supposed to be a statement made by Napoleon, which like it has a different story. I'm not getting into the nitty-gritties of that, but it's a sentence, like you read it from left to right or right to left. From the sound point of view, from the sense point of view, it's same. So you have words and sentences. Nowadays you have got applications to create more palindromes.
Sure.
But this Ramakrishna Viloma Kavya was really a wow moment even for me. That you read, there are 50 verses here. Every verse you read from left to right, it is about Rama, and right to left it is about Krishna.
Wow!
The thing, like what kept me, like at that state of awe, is that how does a poet write? How does a poet decide that I will put this letter here, this letter here, this letter here, because they have to follow the grammar of the poetry, the metrical line, the Laghu Guru Krama. So when you read from left to right, right to left, both have to be same.
My goodness.
It has to form the second line of it. Then when you read from the beginning to the end and the end to the beginning, it's a palindrome. I thought, like, wow.
I know. I think our listeners are going to be absolutely wowed, and the children will want to learn. And I didn't mean to interrupt, but now I'd like to know why the children.
That was one, and the second one, because I'm getting also like a little more excited to share this.
Yeah.
The chess knight solution. Later in some other occasion, maybe like I will give the details, like the chess knight solution, for which the Swiss mathematician Euler, his name is taken. But what the world doesn't know, that 500 years before Euler, it was Vedanta Deshikan who has written this Paduka Sahasram. In that he has written two poems, which when it is written properly on the chessboard, and then you follow the sequencing of the syllables in the letter, it's exactly the movement of the horse on the chessboard. So that also, like, how did they create all these things? And many wonderful things. So that's what, like when I started sharing those aspects with the young minds, they took interest. Then when you teach them Sanskritam, so there is a greater acceptance of it, and intensity in learning also happens. Yes.
Yes.
So now I come to the question which you asked, when and how it started with the children.
Yes.
While I was doing all these things, so I went to Pondicherry, which is the place of Shri Aurobindo,
Yes.
and the mother,
Yeah.
who was his spiritual collaborator. So the Sri Aurobindo and the mother always wanted that Sanskritam should become a part of the life of Bharatiyas, the education system and the life of Bharatiya. They considered, they worshipped Sanskritam as the very Atma of Bharat.
How beautiful.
Okay. So I read one conversation of the mother. So once a group of teachers who had gone to the mother in 1967, the date was 11th of November.
Wow.
So the discussion was like, what language they should teach in the afternoon classes, because the afternoon classes are dedicated for the language
Okay.
learning. So someone said this French, anyway, we're teaching English and
Yes.
this and all the languages. And one of the teachers said, so what about Sanskrit? Then the mother took a pause, and then she went on saying the significance of Sanskrit.
Wow.
There she made one statement, and that statement became the lifelong motivation for me. So she said one thing. She said, as a child born in France has to learn French, the same way every child born in India must know Sanskrit, must learn Sanskrit.
How beautiful.
So that's where I took a decision. It was my life's sankalpa, that my grand vision is now clear before me. The work that I wanted to do in promoting Sanskritam, to take Sanskritam to as many children as possible through various kinds of activities.
Wow. Wow.
And to do that, we need to create children-friendly textbooks, literature,
How beautiful. Yes.
pedagogy, okay, and create those teachers who can teach innovatively, by
Yes.
following the immersive experiential learning mechanism in the classroom.
Yes.
So that's how it started.
And I wanted to ask you, I think if I think back to the Gurukulams, right, it sounds like the pedagogy and the learning mechanism must have been so special that, it motivated the people there, right? Like, and we seem to have lost it a little bit. I may be wrong about that. You know better than I about that. But did you get inspired by any of those works? And have you used any of those techniques? And are there things from those techniques that we could use today so that our learning is more fun, and the children right now are, doing a lot of rote learning, and how can we inspire them better?
See, in the ancient time, like you take any period of time, any period in ancient time, or any particular time frame you take, so the climate is different,
Yes.
mindset is different. What we call the Yuga Dharma.
That's an
So
interesting point.
Now it is a different Yuga Dharma. So we cannot, just become the past just because our past was glorious.
Beautiful, beautiful comment.
So what we need to do, all that was best in the past, we should bring it, become inspired by it. We take the insight, we take the inspiration, we take those materials which could inspire others. Like I gave you the examples.
Yes.
before. Not necessarily we need to imitate past as it was.
Yes.
However great, however glorious it might have been that time, or might be. But every yuga has its own dharma.
Right.
They followed. So if everything, our lifestyle, our education system, or anything that we create, if it is in alignment with what is called the swa, okay, why ancient India could create such a great foundation for our civilization is that they were very much in alignment with the swa of this land.
And what is
Swabhava, Swabhava, Swadharma, Swa, its own.
Its own.
Okay. So for that, like we need to be very clear about like what is that swa of Bharat. Okay,
Swa
that's
of
how
Bharat.
like I ask the present day children, please tell me, why do you think America is great?
Good question.
Because many people want to go to America.
Yeah.
Why it is great? You say that Japan is a very developed country.
Right.
So why do you think that Japan is great?
Yeah.
What makes them great?
Yeah.
Why China is great? So then we also like give slogan like Mera Bharat Mahan. My India is great.
Yeah.
Incredible India.
Yeah.
Why? Tell me some reasons that you feel that India is great. They have no answer. They have no clue to it. So I explain them that, look, when we go to America, what we see, the material perfection that they have achieved. That is the soul of. That's what we should learn. The material perfection. They may be highly materialistic, but there they have achieved perfection, which we are missing. Similarly, you go to Japan, the very sense of aesthetics, the beauty, the proper arrangement of things, that's what is the soul of America. Soul of Japan.
Japan. Yes.
The same way when you come to India, you may not find all these things, but what is the rootedness? What is that swa? Is adhyatma.
Beautiful.
Adhyatma means anything which is concerning the swa, the self. Okay. This is where the Veda begins. This is where the Vedanta, this is where the Tantra, this is where all the philosophical tradition. So the premise is, what lies outside me is not other than me.
Beautiful.
And if I need to know what lies outside me, I must know myself. Yasmin vijñāte sarvam vijñātam bhavate. So this is where our pedagogical philosophy kept at the center the Atma Jnanam. Bring Vasishtha, Vishwamitra, Bharadwaja, Dirghatama, Manu, all the rishis, Valmiki, Vyasa, and put this question. So what should be kept at the center of education? They will say one line, Atmanam Vidhi, know thyself. Atma va aredrashtavya, shrotavya, mantavya, nididhyasitavya. So when we are designing something for the children, which has to become a part of our curriculum, so this pedagogical philosophy of ours, we have to say like how to bring this sense of self-awareness, the sense of refinement of our consciousness. Every part of our consciousness has to be a part of our teaching mechanism in the class. I may be teaching physics, mathematics, any subject, language, this language, that language, but it's not merely giving them the knowledge of the subject, which is important. We should, but at the same time, we have to see the way we are teaching the subject. It creates a greater awareness in the children about that swa.
Beautiful.
That swa has been missing from our life, our system, all that we are doing. So when I created the children's literature, the textbooks for the children, so that is what is at the center.
Wow.
So I told the parents, I told the stakeholders, the founders, the principals, teachers of the school where I started this as a pilot, that before we start, you all should be convinced. I don't want it should be an imposition on anyone. It should be convinced. So I did a lot of parents orientation. Explained them that what Sanskrit is going to do to your children. What Sanskrit is going to, what transformation it can bring. I gave them examples.
Yes, that was going to be my next question. If you learn Sanskrit, what can you expect with your pedagogy? What is your metrics and how do you expect success? I'd love to hear.
So, see, I asked this question to the teachers also, like in my teachers training program. I asked this question like, as teachers, You should know like why you are teachers, and you also should be familiar with the pedagogy, its philosophy, and you should be innovative in the classroom. The classroom should be engaging. You should follow the immersive experiential learning mechanism, so then the children do not run away from
Exactly,
the classroom, saying that,
exactly.
oh, it's boring.
Boring.
It's like that.
How
But
true.
you go to the school in Lucknow, Gomtinagar school, Seth MR Jaipuria school, where I have started this. This is one school in Bharat with the ICSE board, where we have made since 2003 Sanskritam compulsory from playgroup to class 8.
Wow.
Compulsory. And Sanskritam is taught in this school only through Sanskritam medium.
Mangalam.
No other language. The children of the school, they know that our Sanskrit teachers do not know other languages. So when they see them, Namami Shriman, Bhavan Katham Asti, Bhavati Katham Asti,
Oh my God.
okay, Kushalam. So you go there, children very naturally they speak
Speak it.
Sanskrit. But more than that, how I had to convince the parents, it is not just convincing them in any manner, but they should be convinced totally that yes, this works. Now what happens? Most of the children we find at home also, in the school also, like if you're a teacher, the problem with the children at present, following the Yuga Dharma, and especially in the present age of reels.
Yes.
Okay. So the attention span is not more than 90 seconds.
Seconds,
90
exactly.
seconds. Okay. So in that, this has been happening.
Yes, yes.
They don't have attention span. They
Right.
don't have the capacity of retention and recollection.
How true.
They don't know how to express things beautifully. The beautiful way of expressing our thoughts, expressing our, emotions,
Yeah.
and all that happens within us is missing. So somehow I felt the life at present has ceased to become beautiful.
Oh my
So you
goodness.
find a lot of ugliness around. But the education, it's the responsibility of the educators
I completely agree.
to remove that ugliness,
Yes.
and then create the sense of beauty. So how do we create that sense of beauty? Through what we are doing.
That's amazing.
And who are the teachers? The parents are the first teachers.
Love that.
The education has to start from home.
I agree.
Start from home.
Right.
And then the teachers are the extended parents.
Exactly.
The teachers are the extended parents.
Yeah.
They have to treat every child as their own child to do that. Now, Sanskritam being a very refined, highly structured, systematic, scientific, and highly rhythmic musical language, it has a direct impact on every part of our being. Look, the purity of the vibration of the sounds, the fundamental sounds of it, has a direct impact on the cells, on the physical being. So I call it as a healing language.
Beautiful.
If you are having headache, you are not feeling well, just sit quietly, do Om chanting for 10 minutes, or recite some prayers,
Yeah.
some mantras, shlokas, if you are, or at least if you have it on your phone, just listen to it.
Surely.
It calms down immediately. It has a direct impact on the physical. It has a direct impact on our sensational and emotional being. This is where it keeps refining.
Beautiful.
We are refining ideas, refining thoughts, images. You find it here.
That's so
In the-
spectacular.
yes. And then the clarity that it brings to the mental level of consciousness. You want to understand anything in the world. Anything in the world. This is what I keep doing with myself. If I do not understand a concept,
Yeah.
so my first thing what I do is I try to translate that into Sanskrit.
Interesting. Wow.
Every word
Yes.
you do not understand, try to translate it
Yeah.
into Sanskrit. The very process of translating it into Sanskrit brings lots of clarity.
Wow.
I'll give you one example.
Yeah.
Like people say the word free. How should I, do people really understand what does free mean?
Yeah. So
People say Sanskrit is a dead language.
right,
Okay.
right.
I ask people, do you understand what does dead mean? Okay.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful.
What
yeah.
does what is the like and the problem is not with the dead language. The problem is like when Sanskrit people or Indian people translate dead as a mrita.
Mrita. Ah, okay.
Because dead is not a mrita.
Yeah.
Now dead, if you translate, so everyone is translating dead as mrita.
Mm.
Suppose you translate dead as mrita, how will you translate my telephone is dead? In economics, we are taught as dead capital.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
cannot say mrita muladhana.
yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So how do you say, like, even adverbially, we use the word dead. Oh, he is walking dead slow.
Yeah.
You cannot translate it as mrita.
Yeah.
There is, like in post office, we have this concept of dead,
Dead letter.
letters. So you cannot say mruta patram. See, at every, like occasion, the examples that I gave, dead has a different shade of
So meaning. Okay.
Okay. So in the case of dead language, it should be alpajana kathita bhasha.
Oh, Alpajana Kathita. Spoken
not-
by very few
Very
people.
few people, not many people.
Yeah.
But it's not dead like Greek and Latin.
Yeah.
So, like this, Sanskritam brings lots of clarity.
Yeah.
And then, if the purpose of education is to help the child manifest his inner potential and then make them dynamically manifesting in their
Which should be the
character.
goal of every
Yes, life and
education.
So how, like, we have to take care the child's concentration ability is good, memory, observation, his creativity, his imagination, his language ability, his power of expression, his original thought power, his
Yes.
willpower. If the education is not helping the growth of these things in the children,
Right.
then there is something seriously wrong with
Wrong.
the children. And that's what we can do through Sanskrit. Okay.
Wow.
Sanskritam is a language, like I have experimented it in hundreds of children.
Yeah.
And I did it with my own daughter also.
Uh-huh.
Like if the child doesn't have focus,
Yeah.
very, fickle.
Yeah.
So I tell the parents that, okay, I give you a set of prayers.
Yeah.
Beautiful prayers which I have made a compilation from the Vedas, from Upanishads, from other sources. So you just, and I give you the audio, I give you the text, you listen to it, learn it, and morning and evening during prayers. So when your child is present, you just do it. Don't ask your child to do it. You just do it daily. Then you will see that it has some impact on the child also starts sitting with you.
Wow.
So you can tell even your children that, okay, let's come and do the prayer.
Sure.
So when they learn it and you see the impact of it within 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Definitely it has. It has changed my daughter.
Yeah.
It has changed many children. Many parents are happy. They still remember me and then tell that, okay, those prayers which you had taught.
So this brings me to this point of how do people in America make use of your wonderful work and teach all of this to our children? Where can we start? How do we access this great pedagogy that you have?
Yeah, the first thing is like here all those who are willing to take up this responsibility, and especially parents and teachers.
Yeah.
So what we can have, like we can have some orientation program for them.
Perfect.
Where I can explain the mechanism which I use bringing Sanskrit to the children in innovative ways.
Perfect.
So those ways of teaching I can share with them. Various kinds of, I have created thousands of activities.
Wow.
Thousands of activities.
Wow.
Storytelling, theater, various kinds of activities through which children are taught. They will never feel bored. Like in Jaipuriya school, all the students will come daily. They will ask, where are our Sanskrit teachers?
Oh my goodness.
Jobs for other teachers. Because the classroom is full of fun. This is one aspect. The other aspect is that interdisciplinary engagement. Okay,
perfect.
learning. How? I'll give you one example. Like our teachers at Jaipuriya school, we work with every other department. Sanskrit teachers will work with every other department. Suppose there is music department,
Yeah.
pottery, there is chemistry lab, there is computer lab, there is dance department, okay, there is organic farming department. So any other department, what do like every teacher is assigned a department other than Sanskrit. So that teacher will go work with the music teachers, like what are the musical instruments, so the Sanskrit name of those.
Oh,
So what are the activities, the Sanskrit name of those. Then batch by batch, that teacher's responsibility is to take the Sanskrit class to the music room today and then teach them all about music through Sanskrit.
wow.
Similarly to the dance department, the teacher will take pottery department, they will take and teach everything about pottery through Sanskrit.
Wow.
Okay. They will take to the computer lab and teach everything about computer, the general aspects, what they wanted
Yeah.
to convey through Sanskritam. So that's how an interdisciplinary learning which happens, inter-school relationship happens.
Yes.
So the other teachers
Yes.
also have respect for Sanskrit
Yeah,
teachers
yeah.
and Sanskrit, and children are so happy that today we learned. They are so excited, they will go home. They say, like today we learned all these computer terminologies in Sanskrit. See, CPU is this. Then
We
this,
need to learn
monitor
all
is
of this. I think.
Yeah.
I think Rajeshwari ji, we need to become those. We need to volunteer for this, and we look forward. Maybe in the Hindu Parent Network, we have people, and we will really take you up on that.
Absolutely.
To
I'm always ready to share whatever.
That is fantastic.
There has to be willingness.
Yes.
From the other side, whoever is willing.
Yes.
So
Yeah. I have a
we should work
granddaughter,
in collaboration.
and I think I should start her on this. It
Yes,
sounds like
absolutely.
she is the right candidate for it. So I will definitely work on that. So thank you. This is just fantastic. I also wanted to touch briefly upon tomorrow's topic for our call, which is the Avadhana Kala.
Oh.
And just to talk about, I know I've heard about Avadhanis and all of this, people who can do multiple task processing at the same time. And I think there's a lot of multitasking going on in our lives, right? We have WhatsApp, we have iMessage, we have all of these things. And maybe in this yoga, to learn that, I didn't even know it's an art that can be taught. So I'd love to know more about that art form. How is it taught, and how can children benefit from that?
So, I came in contact with this art form in the year 1999. I had heard about it, but I had never experienced what an avadhanam looks like. So I was a part
And can I ask you, what is the meaning of that word?
I'll come to that. So I was part of organizing team of a Ashtavadhanam program that happened in Sanskritam, a Kavitva Avadhan. Because I'm one of the organizing team member, and then I had to invite so many people that come.
Yeah.
So everyone will, what is this Avadhanam? we have heard it for the first time. I said, no. You all know what Avadhanam is. You don't know that you know it. So they said, no, we are hearing for the first time Avadhanam. I said, no. Even now also, like I tell people, don't you know the word Savadhan? Oh, yes, we know Savadhan. I say Savadhan is Sa
Avadhan.
Like you say Sa Parivar.
Yeah.
Parivar ke saath, with family. So Savadhan is with Avadhan. With Avadhan means with careful attention.
Yes.
So Avadhan is
Careful
attention.
Beautiful.
So the careful attention means it's not just, I would not use the word just. It's not about multitasking. Though people connect multitasking with Avadhanam, but Avadhanam is not multitasking. It's a discipline. It's a discipline which brings much awareness to the people who follow it. Follow this discipline. Okay. Avadhanam is all about awareness. Otherwise, there are plenty of multitasking people. You go to a circus, look at the circus man. How many different kinds of things they do. And you must have seen, like, there are tribal ladies who carry so many pots on their heads.
Yes.
The baby will be hanging. Backside they have all their belongings. They will be stitching something in the hand talking to the co-worker. walking
Every
through the-
woman is a multitasker.
multitasking. But that doesn't make that tribal lady or every woman, or like while
Yeah.
we're driving also, like it's a multitasking. That doesn't make us avadhan.
Yeah.
Because avadhanam is not multitasking. It is about how carefully, with awareness, you perform the activities. You do it.
Okay.
So, avadhanam as a discipline, after watching the avadhanam, I found that the way avadhanam are happening, it creates a sense of awe, and it is again confined to the elite people. Kavitva avadhanam.
Yes.
Like you have to have interest in the shastras, because everything is happening in Sanskritam. How the common people will understand?
Yeah.
Children will understand what's happening. Then difficult kind of poetry happening.
Right.
So only the elite people can appreciate, because they understand what's happening. Avadhana. Then I took a decision that no, it's a beautiful discipline. All that is behind making an ordinary person an avadhani, I need to translate that into practical term and then bring it to the classroom situation where the children can be helped in developing the power of retention, recollection, memory. So, grahana, dharana, smarana, samarthya. Okay.
Beautiful.
Children are absolutely, they say that grahana, dharana, patur, bada. They have the natural tendency of grasping and retaining.
Yeah.
And then we just need to create the environment for them by bringing this discipline. So, ever since I saw this Avadhana Kala, so my attempt is like, how do we translate it into the practical terms? We need to bring it to life.
Yeah.
We need to bring it to the education, to the children. So going ahead, in 2014, Government of India had given me a fellowship to work on Avadhanam.
Perfect.
For 2 years. So I presented my thesis, and there also, like, I created a lot of activities. One full chapter is about activities which any person can do to develop the inner faculties like observation, imagination, creativity, memory. So a lot of activities. So then again, going ahead 2020-22, again I got another project approved by Ministry of Education, Avadhana Kala and Consciousness Studies. So as a part of this project, my attempt was to find out what other forms of Avadhanam, which were, reading it in the literature, like Netra Avadhan, Ghanta Avadhan, Bhuja Avadhan, Trunavadhan, Shatakalasha Avadhan, Gita Avadhan, Ashtadhyaya Avadhan, Tala Avadhan, Sangita Geya Dhara, the various forms of Avadhana art form. So it took a long time to identify some of the existing Avadhanis of this rare art form. So we did Avadhana Sangama. For the first time in the history of India, I tell you, for the first time it happened when we had the first Avadhana Sangam in last September. So we brought 10 rare Avadhanis to perform Avadhanam. People had never seen Ghanta Avadhani, Netra Avadhani, Sangita Geya Dhara, Tala Avadhani. We could identify them, bring them, and we gave the platform. It was a one platform where 10 Avadhanis are performing. Then we found out, because there are just 2 people doing. After them, there's no who trained them. We could identify their master and then brought them. Next Avadhana Sangam, we had, let's train some young minds.
Yes.
So we linked them with the teacher. So they trained them, they exhibited, the training works fine. Now again, like we are translating those, we have created one Balavadhanam. Wow. It's for the children only. It's meant only for the children.
Perfect.
So we take the children, and what we work in Balavadhanam, our whole purpose is to create the Balavadhanis. Not that they will perform Avadhanam, but their level of concentration, their level of that Grahana, Dharana, Smarana, Samarthya, their creativity, their focus will be very different than the ordinary children.
That is...
This is what is Avadhana Kala.
And of course, you have not just focused on increasing the capacities of very talented, you have even worked on speech pathology for children who may have some, verbal challenges. I would love to learn more about that as well.
So, it happened that while working on that wonder that is Sanskrit book, chapter 2 is entirely dedicated for phonetics and grammar. So there, while working on this chapter, I explained that this is such a language which has captured all the fundamental sounds which the human mouth anatomy or the articulatory organs can produce. So it is a complete sound system. Okay. Then, if anyone is using Sanskritam right from the childhood, can never develop any kind of speech related disorder or disability.
Wow,
Yes.
that's a
This
big
is what-
statement.
Big statement. And whichever Gurukul I visit, I find children. I do take a note to ask the gurus in the Gurukulas, did you find any child in your Gurukul which has, who has say, stammering, stuttering, or any kind of speech? We don't remember that.
Wow.
So even though someone is coming with an inorganic, so as a part of Gurukulam, you have the Veda chanting, lots of chanting and speaking Sanskrit. So it gets rectified immediately. So you don't find in the Gurukulas, all those who have been using Sanskritam right from the childhood, they will never develop it.
Wow.
Okay. So then what I found out that a lot of parents whom I am visiting or talking about it, they complain about the speech problem. Oh, my child is, just tutlapan, koklapan, delay speech, lazy lips, lazy tongue, so many kinds of things, stiffness. And I said, what do you do? No, we take them to a speech pathologist. Then research I did. What do speech pathologists do, especially to correct the Indian children? I found that the speech pathologists are using the IPA. IPA means International Phonetic Alphabet Model. For rectifying the speech problems of the Indian children, which is a mismatch. Okay. So then I tried to catch hold of few speech pathologists, but no one was ready to listen to me. They said, no, we have studied all these things. Phonetics we have studied and all this. They have their own ways of rectifying. I'll give you example. Like suppose a child has a lazy lip. Okay. Lip movement is not proper. So they will, ask the child to do. So for activating this. I said, these are all artificial things. A lot of exercise. Children may not do it because they will become conscious. Whoever is watching so I may look very odd. So what I did, I made a compilation of hundreds and thousands of shlokas from the Sanskrit literature, which can help, like Urugum, Diugurum, Yutsu, Chukrusus, Tushtuvuh, Puru, Lulubhu, Pupushur, Mutsu, Mumuhurnu, Muhurmuhu. If the child repeats this song, and once you teach them, the children will go on reciting.
Wow! That's so beautiful because it's so cute.
Yes. Then you do it like with E, with I, with O. With every single vowel, you have plenty of verses.
Interesting.
So those verses I collected. I have created a model. I have a training program, all set.
Perfect.
And then I do it with many parents, many children.
Wonderful.
You don't need to, if the problem is inorganic, because organic problem, it needs surgery or some other kind of treatment. But if it is inorganic, don't worry, parents. Till the age of 12, you have all the possibilities of the child, its problem getting rectified.
Wow.
Through Sanskritam. So teach your children Sanskritam. Teach Sanskritam Varnamala. Teach them lots of mantras and prayers and songs in Sanskritam. And see what it does to your child. Beyond this, I don't want to tell more things. Learn Sanskritam. Encourage your children to learn Sanskritam. And then see that they're learning Sanskritam. Don't make them Samskrita Vidwan.
Right.
Okay. It's because children, what do I do? Learning Samskrita. My interest is in computer. My interest is, you do whatever you want to do. but Sanskritam will add value
Yeah.
to your children. Recently, a group of children came to me after the session of an Indian knowledge system awareness program. They said that, sir, like it was a fantastic session. And sorry, sir, why all these things are not taught to us? No one told us. Okay, forget about. But there is little doubt about it. Suppose I am going to do aeronautics.
Yeah.
Someone said I'm going to do computer science.
Right.
I'm going to do business. I will have my own startup. Sanskritam is not going to be any part of it,
Right.
all these things. So why should we learn it? I give them a very simple example. I told them that, have you met some teachers or any teacher? This is what is the feeling, that why all teachers in this country are not like him or like her. देश बदल जाएगा. You meet some officers, some doctors, amongst thousands of doctors,
Yeah.
thousands of officers. So, why all officers are not like him?
Yes.
Why all doctors are not like him?
Yes.
He has studied his, like he has been educated to become a doctor. But what makes him stand out? So what this language, the knowledge system, the deeper values that this knowledge system adds, this language adds, it makes you stand out. It becomes your strength in whatever you are doing in life. You may be a housewife, you may be a computer scientist, you may be engineer, you may be an athlete, whatever you may be in life. But Sanskritam takes care that your life becomes beautiful.
That's amazing, Dr. Mishra. What a way to conclude this beautiful interview. And we can see that the work you are doing is transforming an entire generation of people. And we can get back, hopefully, to that point, that glorious past that you were talking about, where the current generation becomes innovative. And also the idea that it knows the swa, and that once it does that, it can really transform the world and bring the good that all of our ancient knowledge systems have brought. And hopefully there will be world peace.
Yes, it's like it's picking up now.
Yes.
It's picking up. This is the right time. This is the right time. So there is a civilizational rise everywhere.
Yes.
And we should not miss the opportunity. This is the time where parents, elderly people, knowledgeable people have great responsibility to bring this to the children in an innovative ways. So then we actually do not miss the time. The opportunity, and then bring back those values, the soul values, the Daivi Sampad.
Beautiful.
To enrich our life.
Yes, absolutely. And hopefully in America, you'll be spreading it to people who may not be of Indian origin as well. So this is, I think, the world at large. I really feel that, right?
It's a language of humanity. It's a planetary language. It brings transformation to every human being who comes in contact with it.
And that's been the glory of India, that we shared our knowledge very widely. We never kept it, in a little pocket.
No copyright, no patent,
nothing.
It was an open ground. Come learn. It was joy of learning. It was joy of teaching.
Yes.
A joy of being together.
Right.
Spreading joy everywhere.
I'd love to know about the evolution of Sanskrit a little bit, because people say that it started without any writing at all. And did the rishis just hear it and create this? They say it's a perfect language. How did it come to be?
It's a very deep question, and people have answered it, written about it in various ways. I have a different take on this.
Okay.
So why is this difference? It is because of my association with Shri Aurobindo's writing. He always put things in a very different way. Now, there are two sides of it. One side, like if you believe in historicity, history has its own methodology. It uses its own tools to find out date, when, how, and all these things. So the historicity has never been a part of our,
knowledge system or culture.
Knowledge, culture, and like this. Okay. We believed in itihas.
Yes.
Itihas means See, Ramayana and Mahabharata are called Itihasa. Why Itihasa? Who is the author of Mahabharata? Vyasadeva.
Yes. Yeah.
Who is the author of Ramayana? Valmiki.
Valmiki.
So, when they are presenting the story of Ramayana and Mahabharata, they are also the part of the event, or some
Right.
of the events.
Right.
When the author is a part of what he is describing, and they are linking it with past,
Yes.
they are linking it with future.
Right.
History is not, Itihasa is not just
history.
about past.
And not written in a third person.
Yes. So, if Valmiki is writing Ramayana, he was also part of Ramayana. He has seen certain events happening. And also, they also say about like what is going to happen. Itihasa captures past, present and future.
Interesting. Okay.
History is all about past. It uses its own tools and methods. And someone who has not been the part of the moment or what is going to be written is writing the history.
Right.
Okay. So now, this being our tradition with regard to language, as our rishis believed in the divine origin of everything, they also believed in the divine origin of language. That's why we say Shiva is the originator of language. Okay. So from Shiva's Nritya comes Damaru, comes the sound. So stories, enormous amount of stories. But the point is the divine origin. When we say divine origin, what does it mean? What is divine? Who is divine? Is divine a particular image, a particular god, goddess or anything? I'll just narrate you a little anecdote.
Sure.
So, a long back when the mother of Shri Aurobindo ashram was there, so she had decided, she had selected one person from the ashram who would go to Russia for an event and then speak about spirituality.
Okay.
That person got little nervous. He said, this is a communist country and I'm going to teach them about divine spirituality, all these things. I don't know. So he went and then told the mother that, why have you decided to send me to a communist country to speak about divine?
Yeah.
So what's wrong? Why do you think that the communist people will not accept divine? He said, no, they are non-believers in this. He said, no, you don't know how to present it to them. Look, ask them, do you believe in progress? Do you believe in perfection? Do you believe in beauty? Do you believe in harmony? Do you believe in peace? Do you believe in happiness? If they say yes, then you tell them, all together we call it as divine.
Oh, beautiful.
What is divine
What a
is that what creates this sense of happiness, sense of harmony, sense of beauty, sense of joy, peace, perfection. That's what is divine.
Yes.
And whomever we worship as the divine, he represents all this.
All this.
Right? So now there is a language, when I'm using it, it generates that sense. The very structure of it, the very design of it, it creates that sense of divinity in me. It is in that sense, it is a Deva Bhasha, a divine language. It is not, I don't use the word language of gods. It's a divine language.
Because it brings
creates that
happiness.
sense of divinity in you. Deva Bhava. Okay, Deva Bhavam Janayati. Ya Bhasha Sa Deva Bhasha. Okay, Divyatam Janayati. Okay, Divyatam Prati Akarshati. Divyatam Prati Nayati. Okay, it leads us towards the divinity, towards the, what lies at the center of the heart. So now, the divine origin of the language, our rishis always presented. When I look at the very origin of the words, the design of the language, it's very difficult to say that when it got created, because this is the experience I myself have, or a certain realization,
Yeah.
you can say, with the language, that when you rise above in your consciousness, rise above to a refined state of consciousness, a refined state of consciousness demands a different language to
Interesting.
give expression to all that happens to you. So sometimes we say the higher consciousness descends with its own language.
Beautiful.
Okay. So that is something that one will experience. So there you forget about when. See, one person once told me that, "Sir, I have a question for you." I said, "What?" He said, I respect you, like your knowledge of the Gita, the way you teach the Gita, the way you make it practical and understandable. I really appreciate, but I have one question. I do, like after attending your session on the Gita, I have, given myself to the study of the Gita, but just one idea came to me. Do you know when exactly, what time was it of the day when Krishna spoke the
what
Gita
time
to
of the day? Okay.
Arjuna? I said, why do you want to know that? He said, then, like during that time, I'll study the Gita. So I'll connect with Krishna more. I said, good, fine, you do it. But it all transcends time and space. If you confine yourself to time, if you confine yourself to space, you are in problem. All our problems are rooted in this confinement, the constriction. That is why the division, the calculation. For calculation, you have to have two things or many things.
Yes.
Okay. The binaries, set of binaries. The realization says that, look, you can have a solution to your problem when you transcend binaries. This transcendence of all dualities and binaries is the thing where lies the solution. As long as we are part of that, then there is no solution to our problem. Sanskritam is a language, when you approach it, like with clarity in your mind, clarity in purpose, truly trying to approach it to enter into the spirit of the language, this language will never create division in you. This language will never create duality in you. So it will keep on refining the language. But it's very difficult to put it into or confine it into a particular time frame that when it was created. So therefore Shri Aurobindo said, like, possibly this language was created in one of the Satya yugas.
That could be.
And what is Satya? What is Satya Yuga?
That's a good question.
When you, like Puranas give mathematical calculations. So, if you go by mathematical calculation, like today is the end of Kali Yuga.
Right.
Doesn't happen that, like, by the time tomorrow morning, sunrise, everyone will become Satya Yugi. If not Pralay, at least Satya Yugi. It doesn't happen that way. Shri Aurobindo explains it very beautifully. He says, look at a mountain, the tip of the mountain, like a pyramid you take, the shikhara of the mountain. Satya is like you have arrived at the peak of a mountain. Not all, because in the part of evolution, like everyone has to be at every level there are people. The journey continues, but all those who follow the laws, processes of the nature, follow the discipline, so they keep moving upward. So when a group of people, say the rishis or the leaders, they attain, or individuals attain to the peak of a mountain, they do not feel that, okay, we have achieved everything. Satya does not create the feeling that you have achieved everything and that's the end of the story. No. When you arrive at the peak of a mountain, the peak higher than that becomes visible. So another perfection, another Satya waiting to be realized. And there is no direct flight from peak to peak. You have to go through all the ups and downs, Dwapara, Treta, Kali, in order to arrive at that perfection. When you reach there, the peak higher than that becomes visible. So, peaks after peaks, peaks after peaks. Veda says, Yat sanu maruhat. Attaining to peaks after peaks, our journey continues. Because we always believed in infinite, unending journey. We believed in Leela. In Leela, there is no finality. That is why, you know the snake and ladder game.
Yes.
When the Britishers look at it, they created 100 square and then put the ladder
Yes.
at the 100. But the original game, the Mokshapatam, it has 72 squares. The 72nd square has a snake's mouth.
Really? Wow.
Because if it ends, it's not a game. That's why Shiva and Parvati sitting and then playing on
forever. Oh,
okay.
Wow.
So on the 72nd square, you have a snake's mouth. The game will not end. If it ends, it's not Leela.
So again, you go back.
You have to go back and all. So this being our philosophy. So how do I say that when language originated?
Yeah.
Very difficult. So it originated along with when the human consciousness originated, when the creation began. Even the matter has its own language. Every particle has its own language. Isn't it? Can anyone deny that, every particle has no language?
Yes,
it has its own language.
Language as a communication.
If something, see, it communicates something. Okay, that means there is something. It communicates something. It has a language of it. Look at the nature. The flower has a language of its own. If you go deep into it, you can hear this unspoken, silent language of everything that exists in the creation. Beautiful. This being the realization, how do I say that when it got created? How did it evolve?
Yeah.
And when we come to the perfection, it's a perfect language. Perfection doesn't mean that it's fixed.
Interesting.
That doesn't mean like attaining to peak.
Peak to peak. Huh?
Okay. So perfection means, like, look, I'll give you examples like how beautifully the words are generated from the seed sound to the root sounds, primary root sounds, secondary root sounds, tertiary root sounds, then the root words, then become sentences. The whole journey of Sanskritam, if you see systematically, from the seed sounds to like how it has flowered itself into a full-fledged language, retaining the purity, retaining the original force, flavor, and the qualities of the sounds. No other language you will find. No other language in the whole world has preserved so many root sounds as Sanskritam has preserved.
Wow.
You don't find such a transparent system of root sounds in any language in the world, however primitive they may be. There are languages which are almost, existed along with Sanskrit. Like Tamil is a Sanskrit which coexisted with Sanskrit. So people fighting about Sanskrit first, Tamil first. No, it's unnecessary fight.
Exactly.
Look at the nature of the language. They coexist. Greek, Latin, other languages also, Lithuanian, Chinese, Hebrew. So they are all, if you take the primitive language, they coexisted. These are known as cognate languages or sister languages. They coexisted. They shared their experiences with each other. Something Sanskrit has lost, Tamil has preserved. Sanskrit and Tamil have lost, Greek and Latin have preserved. All languages have lost, Chinese has preserved. So you have to go to the nuances of this and understand. Then you have a very different experience with the language. Now the problem is, people do not experience the language, the beauty of the language. They feel that the whole purpose of language is just communication, and once the communication is over, the role of language is over. There lies the mistake. And our Rishi tradition, we didn't believe in that. language is not a mere tool of communication. Language is beyond communication. What we believed that ultimately the language must lead the user of the language to that state from where the language originated.
Oh.
What is the original source of language? Silence.
Oh, okay.
So they conceived this whole origin of language, they called it as paravak, the supreme state of speech. And what is that paravak? Nishabdam tat parabrahma. Absolute silence. If my language cannot lead me to the state of silence, I am not using the language properly, consciously.
Wow.
This is what Sanskritam creates the awareness. The moment you start using Sanskritam, add little awareness to it, with little understanding, you use Sanskritam, it creates the sense of silence. It generates more silence in you, more beauty in you, more rhythm in you, and leads you to the state of meditation in a very natural way. It's a language of awareness. It's a language of meditation. It's a language of yoga. It's a language of music. It's a language of beauty. It's a language of rhythm. It's a language of everything that is beautiful in this world. So you need to experience this language.
Wow.
And once you have this relationship with the language, with Sanskritam, every day it brings you something new. You just, become trapped by the beauty of it, hooked by it. Every day it creates something new. And I'll tell you, like I contemplate on words, single sounds, for months together. For months together, I have a feeling that I don't need to know many more things. Just one word is enough.
Wow.
One word.
Interesting.
The
You
kind
feel
of
that.
joy that it generates by revealing itself to, like the Veda itself says, Tanum vivrunute swam. Okay. It says that, like the sound itself will reveal its own body in front of you totally. What it contains within. So if you are having that kind of relationship with the sound, that's why my grandfather used to tell me right from the beginning. He said, while using Sanskritam, doing prayers, feel the sound, feel the rhythm, feel the purity of it, feel what it does to you. Don't just use it mechanically.
Beautiful.
So is this what they mean when they talk about like the mantra will speak to you?
Yes.
That is
the
what
mantra
this is.
will reveal its own meaning
reveal
to you.
itself to you.
Even though you don't know meaning, if you're doing it sincerely, the kind of vibration it creates, it prepares the mind for the realization of what lies behind it. It even creates like new neurons. Okay.
Wow.
New cells which are needed for the realization of it, what lies behind it. That's the power of mantra.
That is why even people who read Ramayana, they will say that they every time they read it,
you get something new. See, that's why you every day you should devote some time reading something in Sanskrit, doing some prayers.
Yeah.
Read few verses of the Gita, even though you do not understand. Okay. In Odia, we say, Bujo nabuju padha Gita. Whether you understand, you do not understand,
Read it.
Do not compromise with reading of the Gita.
Wow.
Read it. The text itself will reveal
itself.
If you have the sincerity, if you have the devotion, if you have intensity in your aspiration of knowing what lies behind, it will reveal
itself.
It has revealed. How did Kabir Das got into it?
Yeah.
How did Surdas got into it? They never had any literacy.
Yeah.
Okay. They wanted it. They wanted to become that. They carried that intensity in their aspiration. They carried that purity in their aspiration. They carried that devotion, that dedication, that sincerity. These are the things which make us eligible to approach Sanskritam or the Shastras.
So this is a good point. When you were talking about the perfection, and when you see one peak, you'll see another, and the Leela will be like a forever infinite loop. That was the question in my mind. Then how do we get to realization? That is the way.
Yes. So actually what happens when we listen the word perfect, we say that's the end of the story.
That's the whole point about it. Yes.
Okay. That's not perfect.
Not perfect.
Your perfection makes you more progressive.
For sure.
More forwarding. What lies more?
You want to learn more. And again, as what you were saying, right, it is the dedication with which you read any of these books.
Right.
Ramayana, everybody has a different experience when you read the Ramayana, and it speaks to you in different ways, right? And people, if you go with that open clarity, then it brings joy.
Yes.
Otherwise it brings questions. I think that's a very, very, very fantastic, beautiful comment. That go ahead, Rajeshwar, would you like to sit here? No. Yeah, please. Okay. Yes.
The Mokshapat you mentioned, that was very interesting, because I've heard different stories about it. That one says Sampadananda Mishra created it. And do you know more about that? And also, is kids of today, is that something they should do?
So there is a friend of mine. His name is Aman Gopal Surekha. So in the year 2013, so I had met his father in Pondicherry. So he was attending some seminar which was happening. Then he told me, like my son does something like this. So I said, okay, put me in touch with your son, Aman. And then we will talk about it. Then Aman told me, like I'm working on ancient Indian board games and all these things. So I'm creating a book. Or created a book, something like that. So I said, why don't you do a one-day workshop? I will give the platform on this. Oh, I have never done that kind of workshop. But I said, yeah, but you have the knowledge. So let's do it. So he said, okay, let's do it. So I organized one for him. Then we worked together also. A lot of things like questions about the Puranic stories or particular words, concepts. So I helped him doing that. Now he has created an application called Buddhi Yoga application. It's available on Android.
Okay.
So you can go to the Buddhi Yoga. Okay. So it will help you play the Mokshapatam. So what is Mokshapatam? In Mokshapatam, like it gives you moksha. It gives you a different understanding of life. What happens in life. Now in Mokshapatam, the center that you find, it starts, the origin is Vaikuntha. The center place is Vaikuntha. And when you play, like when it comes like 6, okay, then you have to start the game. So 6, when you put, you have the Janma. Why Janma has to have 6? Because the moment you take Janma from Vaikuntha, you become associated with all the Shadripu.
Okay.
6 is Shadripu. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Okay, that becomes natural part of your consciousness. Then the whole thing begins. Now, all the ladders, you will find virtues. All the snake's mouth, you will find all vices. Your vices can pull you down, make you fall from your own state of consciousness. All the virtues will always uplift you. Okay. Because Santa Jnanadev created it to spread more of the bhakti element. So what he did, where the game ends, like in case while playing you reach the bhakti. So there is a ladder directly taking you to Vaikuntha.
That is beautiful. That is
and the center is Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, Sat Chit Ananda, and then Vaikuntha.
That's a beautiful note to conclude this interview. Spreading joy everywhere. Dr. Mishra, I cannot tell you how enlightened we have become today with all your beautiful work, and we are excited to really take a little orientation course with you and take advantage of all the tremendous work you have done, so that our children, our grandchildren, and the next generation, in the United States for us, but I think the world at large can benefit. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.